Jumbo, 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 everyone. Radja here. Be more, give more daily. Always a thrill to connect with you. Module number 4, leading through crisis. Leading through crisis. That's the test of a leader. Leading through crisis. That's the test of a leader. We started with module number 1, which was self leadership, the foundation of a leader. We went to module number 2, leading others, which is the purpose of a leader. We went through module number 3 yesterday, which is leading change. That's the gift of a leader. Today, we're talking about when things are not going well, leading through crisis. That's the test of a leader. This is when we know what you're made of. This is when we know what I'm made of, when things are not going well. And there are 3 phases to any crisis. I keep things simple. 3 phases into any crisis: before a crisis, during a crisis, and after a crisis. As a leader, we have 3 different skill sets that we have to use as we navigate all 3 phases. Before a crisis. Ladies and gentlemen, the best time to solve a problem is before it becomes one. The best time to solve a problem is before it becomes a problem. I'm talking about prevention. I mean, we talk about problem solving as an important skill, and we'll get to that, and I agree, it is. But even better than that is problem prevention. Is problem prevention. Native Americans talk about paying attention to the whisper so you can avoid the scream. Paying attention when when you're seeing the sign of what's to come, and taking action early. Communicate early, engage early so you can avoid the inevitable scream, right? That's what they are talking about. Before it rains, clouds have to form, right? So as a leader, we have to know that, and we have to pay attention. We have to pay attention so we can see what we can undo quickly before the inevitable, right? So as a leader, prevention is everything when it comes to a crisis. Solve the problem before it becomes one. Number 2 is during. Now, let's just be honest. It's practically impossible to be perfect at prevention. A crisis will occur. That's just the way it is. Sometimes it's out of our control. It's a curveball. The market shift. Someone is going through a crisis at home and they bring toxicity into the workplace. You name it. There will always be a crisis. There will always be a crisis. Now, what do we do as leaders during a crisis? First, we're trying to prevent it, but if we can't, we find ourselves in a crisis. How do we lead? I want you and I to think of ourselves as pilots. You know, when a pilot is going through turbulence, the wind is strong and the weather is just going crazy and the plane is a little shaky. And when they get on that microphone to talk to the rest of us, the passengers, they're always calm, regardless of what's going on. Now, they could be freaking out on the inside, but they're always calm, because panic and hysteria does not solve any problem. In fact, it makes things worse. So as a leader, I'm going to ask you to always remain calm during a crisis and always work to de-escalate any situation. De-escalate any situation, because at the end of the day, you don't want to add fuel to it. Be slow to make statements when emotions are high, because you're going to regret them. It's going to be hard to undo, and heck, you might even get a lawsuit. So be calm, stay under control, and always be slow to make these crazy statements, because in the heat of the battle, you may not have all the facts. You might jump into something that you have to clean up later. And if necessary, take swift action in the middle of a crisis to prevent anything to go further, right? These are some of the skill set as a leader you have to have during a crisis. And then after a crisis, that's phase 3. Most people just get to celebrate the fact that, you know, the storm has passed. No, that's a dangerous moment. You have to understand what went wrong. You have to study, you have to debrief on what we didn't see coming, how we can prevent it in the future, what steps we need to implement, what new policy we need to have so that this thing doesn't happen in the future. So before a crisis, a leader works on prevention. During a crisis, a leader is calm. A leader does not panic. A leader takes swift action if necessary. A leader is slow to make statements that they might regret in the future or that might bring negative consequences in the future. And then after a crisis, what does a leader do? Huddles the team. What went wrong? Let's debrief. Let's figure out what we need to change to prevent it in the future, and so on and so on. Those are the three phases of a leader in crisis, and these are things that we can master. So that's it. Before, during, and after, a leader has to lead. All right, that's the test of the leader, and I look forward to connecting with you tomorrow when we're going to talk about developing other leaders. All right, be more, lead more. Cheers.